Hello friends, welcome back. The next scheduling algorithm we are having is the shortest job first. We can also call it as the SJF. Now this SJF can be implemented in both the modes. The very first one is the primitive and the other one is known as the non-primitive. So both the terms we have seen the differences. Okay, the second point we are having is the other name of primitive scheduling shortest job first is also known as SRT, which stands for shortest remaining time. Then how we are going to implement or how we are going to work with this particular scheduling algorithm. So in this case, we are going to deal with the minimum execution, which means that whatever the process get the CPU to that particular process. And if in case any of the two processes are going to have the same least execution time, so in that case, we are going to resolve that situation with the help of FCFS rule, which was our first rule. Okay, let's start with the numerical now. The very first category we are having is SJF when we are implementing in the case of non-primitive. So I told you always we are going to have two categories of numericals. Either all the processes arrives at zero time interval, and the second one is when they arrive at different time interval. Okay, let's start with the first one now. As we can see through the table, so four processes are there with the burst time is given to us. So it is already mentioned that all the processes arrives at zero time interval. So to solve this numerical, the very first thing we need is the Gantt chart. So Gantt chart, I have already told you to show the lifespan of the processes. Okay, first of all, in this Gantt chart, always the time duration will start from the zero time interval, as you can see. So, okay, now compare all the burst time of the processes and let me know which is having the least burst time. So, okay, from P1, P2, P3, and P4, we are having the P4 who is having the least burst time. So, in the Gantt chart, we will be labeling P4 and for how much time it is going to retain the CPU from 0 to 3 because the burst time of P4 is 3. So next we are left with okay, I'm just crossing this P4 because when this P4 has done its execution part, so we are not going to look to this P4 again and again. So we are left with three processes now. Now we will compare the burst time of these three processes. Now which is having the least burst time? Okay, P1. So then we are in the Gantt chart, we are going to label with the P1 process and for how much time? The burst time is 6 time units. So 3 plus 6 is equal to 9. Okay. So again I am crossing this P1 so that we are not going to look to this P1 again and again. So I'm left with two processes P2 and P3. So which is having the least burst time? Yes, P3, which is having the burst time of 7. Okay. Now in the Gantt chart, we will allocate the CPU to this P3 process. And for how much time? 9 plus 7, that is equal to 16. It means that at 16 time interval, P3 is going to release the CPU. So we are not going to look for this P3 again. So I'm crossing it. So I'm left with last process that is P2 and it is having the burst time that is 8. So 16 plus 8 that is equal to 24. So I hope you got this formation of the Gantt chart. So next parameter we are having is we are going to calculate the completion time. Completion time is when the processes are going to release the CPU. Okay, the very first thing is P1. So we will see the Gantt chart when P1 is releasing the CPU. Yes, at 9. So P1 releases the CPU at 9 time interval. Same we will follow the P2. So when P2 is releasing the CPU at 24. Yes. Okay. Then comes the P3. Now when P3 is releasing the CPU at 16. So we will label it with the 16. Okay, the last one now I'm having is the P4. Now P, as you can see through the Gantt chart, only P4 got this CPU at 0 time interval, and now it is releasing the CPU at 3. So CPU has been released by the P4 process at 3 time interval. So we got the completion time of all the processes. Now we can calculate the turnaround time as we have discussed the formula already. That is, time around time is equal to completion time minus arrival time. So arrival time is already given to us, that is all the processes arrives at 0 time interval. Okay, the very first one is for the process P1, what is the completion time? That is 9 minus 0 is equal to 0. Sorry, 9. Okay, then comes the P2. P2 is having the completion time that is equal to 24. 24 minus 0 is equal to 24. Very easy. Then we are having the P3. So P3 is having the completion time that is 16. So 16 minus 7, that is equal to 9. Okay. Last we are left with P4. P4 is having the completion time that is 3. So 3 minus 0, 3 minus 0 is equal to 3. Sorry, in the P3 we have done, I have done the mistake, that is 16 minus 0 is equal to 16, because the arrival time is given to us, that is 0. Okay, so turnaround time values are, we have calculated. So now we can calculate the values of waiting time in the same manner as the formula is already I have mentioned, that is turnaround time minus burst time. So let's start with the calculation part. So turnaround time for the P1 is 9. 9 minus burst time is equal to 6. 9 minus 6 is equal to 3. Next for the P2, 24 minus 8, that is equal to 16. For the P3, the similar way we have to calculate, that is 16 minus 7 is equal to 9. And the last for the P4, that is 3 minus 3, because 3 is the turnaround time we have just calculated, and burst time is also 3, so 3 minus 3 is equal to 0. Okay, so all the values of the processes we got, turnaround time as well as the waiting time. Now it can be asked in the question to calculate the average turnaround time as well as the average waiting time. So let's see that part now. So how we are going to calculate the average waiting time? I have already discussed that, adding all the processes and divide by number of processes. So what are the average waiting time values? So we have calculated from here. So we will pick all the values from this table only, that is 3 plus 16 plus 9 plus 0 divided by 4. So answer at the end I'm going to get is 7.0. So I am writing over here time units because it is not mentioned in the question which units I have to take. If it is mentioned like suppose milliseconds, so you have to write milliseconds over here. Similarly, you can calculate the average turnaround time also. So the formula is same, that is adding all the processes divided by number of processes. So the values you can directly pick from the table of turnaround time, that is 9 plus 24 plus 16 plus 3 divided by 4. So answer I'm getting is 13.0 time units. So I hope you got the first category when all the processes arrives at 0 time interval.